Synchronicity Part 2. Hello and welcome to Dead and Kind of Famous, where we dig into the life stories of dead folks who enjoyed a touch or two of fame in their time.
And now reside permanently in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
I'm Marissa Rivera, and I know nothing, but I do know... Man, thunderstorms in the South are crazy. I am currently in Jackson, Mississippi, and there was a crazy thunderstorm that lasted like 6 hours with thunder and lightning overhead. Boom, 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 boom. It was insane. And we had tornado watch and warnings. I don't know which one is worse. But we had both at some point in the middle of the night. I didn't sleep a wink. It was insane. And before I was like, I really miss going to sleep to the sound of thunderstorms, having lived in Puerto Rico and Florida. But I don't miss it. I do not miss that.
Not when it's like a violent storm.
It was so violent.
Yeah. No, that's no good. Marissa's doing her thing. She's filming. She's on location. She's being kind of famous right now. It's just what she's doing.
Yeah, it's just what I'm doing currently right now. I'm just being kind of famous.
I'm Courtney Blomquist, and I know way too much about what we're going to talk about, but I don't know, honestly, like what states surround Mississippi.
I do know we're like a 3-hour drive from New Orleans. So Louisiana's right here.
Okay. All right. So it's like we're almost to the water, but not quite.
And Georgia's right here too.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, that's Southern. That's Southern, all right.
Yep.
All the little Southern states just snuggling up to you. It's not like you got.
Oh my gosh! And it was like crazy. You know, I went from New York, and it was cold, and definitely like spring in New York is like freezing, and then it's kind of like nice and warm, but then it's freezing. Yeah. 2 hours later, and then I come here, and it was in the 90s, and so green everywhere. It's like they didn't have fall or winter. It was spring and summer only here. And
wow.
And then the thunderstorm happened, and then it got freezing cold. It came in, a cold front came right after, so it was like in the 40s and 50s, and I was like, I did not pack for this.
That's scary. That's scary when the weather switches like that, though, because that's like tornado conditions.
Yes. Well, it was. I could have been blown away. And for what? In a little indie film? Oh my God. What am I doing? And I'm recording this in my closet. I'm literally recording in a closet that doesn't have a door. It has a what is this? A curtain.
A curtain with a hole in it.
With a hole in it.
With a grommet.
With a grommet, yeah.
A face-shaped grommet.
And anyway, this is like the grossest. I don't even know what this pattern is. I mean, it's a nice
well,
hotel.
That's why I was like, you said it's nice, but then I saw that curtain and I was like,
you'd never know. You'd never know by this curtain, but the rest of the room is nice.
Is it as depressing as it looks? That's what I said.
It's actually pretty nice. I'll give you a tour after.
This is going to be like that indie movie the one that what's her name, Jennifer Lawrence did, that like put her on the map. That was like you know what I mean, so small. Like maybe it'll be that
Winter's Bone.
Yeah, that one.
I fucking wish this was my Winter's Bone. God, do I ever?
Well, we know you're doing the most, and once that information is released, we'll tell everyone about it.
We'll see if this movie ever sees the light of day.
Yep, let's see. Well, thanks for coming back to part 2 for Tomata today, everybody.
I'm so excited.
Yes, he's got so many chapters. So today, like I said, we're returning to the life of Tomata Duplanty. And thus far, we've seen him evolve from a drag and sketch performer to an electrifying punk rocker with electrified-looking hair that stood straight up on end by design, by choice. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, we'll see Tomata evolve into his next chapter, painting.
What?
By the way, yep. Art.
He is an artiste.
But before we get to that, I want to give a little more context into the importance and legacy of the Screamers, and also touch on their closing years together. Because we kind of ended on the moment, the rise, the buzz. So as we alluded to last week, Tomata often brushes off credit for anything having to do with the Screamers, and he doesn't have much of an ego when it comes to any of his pursuits, really any of them, actually.
No ego. It's crazy.
Yeah. He gave much of the credit to Tommy Gear, who may have had more of a musical influence per se, but Tomata wrote many of the band's lyrics, and he also put all of his efforts into the stage presence of the band that made them so intoxicating. Frankly, intoxicating it was. And frankly, without
it fascinating to watch. Gosh.
Yeah. Truly, like watching him just jump around and his facial expressions alone, it's like it's a performance. It's not it's so much more of a performance than
it's performance art for sure.
It is performance art. It's because it's like he's not even really singing. It's it's something else entirely. So frankly, without Tomata, the band would have been quite boring to watch. I mean, it's like there's not guitarists, right? It's like people on keyboards and synthesizers, and there's a drummer, and that's it. So like he was kind of the whole thing. In his final interview with Jack Rabbit for NWR, Tomata said,
I was so involved in the stage act. You know, every show was so much work. It was my only focus, the performance, really, it was. I don't do very much of the business, and I have to give credit to Tommy Gear. He did most of that work. I was free of that responsibility so that I could devote all of my time to going out there and making a total fool of myself, which was a lot of hard work.
Again, super self-deprecating.
Listen. As someone who's a professionally I go into every commercial audition and make a fool out of myself. I check my ego and pride at the door and make a fool out of myself. I get it.
Yeah. It's it's fun to be a professional clown. Isn't it, Marissa? You tell us. I wouldn't know. No, I'm kidding.
You've done a professional everything else.
I know it's true. And I kind of have been a professional.
Courtney is an actual professional.
Yeah, which makes me a professional clown. And though he may have thought himself a fool, he also felt the message and the feeling of the band was more important than the music. Tomata told Lee Lumsden in 1977.
Actually, we don't really write songs. We write more like anthems. When we write our songs, we visualize thousands of people marching. Music is not really the correct context to place us in. Unfortunately, I think in the culture as it stands today, there really is not a niche that we can really feel meaningful in. The kind of niche that would be meaningful to us would be more political, artistic than, say, musical. I find music to be very tawdry. I prefer to think of myself as a designer of sound, of noise, in the context of time. I think that's a more realistic way of looking at music, the purpose being some kind of political outcome. I think of politics in terms of power. That's what politics is. It's power. And I think a lot of times Americans get confused that politics means political parties of left wing, right wing, and all politics really has to do with is power and the exercise of it. Power to control people's wants, power to control people's conceptions. Oh man, does this hit so hard right now? Shit.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. But it's interesting that it's like that they're kind of like trying to tap into a sort of power, like that they're, that stirs people up in the same way, and to recognize that. I don't know. It's an interesting way to think about it. And and very heady kind of. And
Mhm,
I don't know.
mhm.
It's just, it is, somebody else said this in the research I was going through, but it's like so much, it's so intellectual for LA.
Mhm.
They were like overly intellectual for LA, like,
Yeah.
because it's
I'm
just not the norm.
right. I mean, they feel very Portland and Seattle. I mean,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
for sure. They're definitely like they had a huge influence on LA, but it's like they were also like very much outsiders. So
Mhm, mhm.
the band may have never put out a record, but before their breakup in 1981, they definitely got around. They once performed in Iggy Pop's living room for a private party because he personally requested them.
What the
Yeah.
Oh my
They had a bunch of
god.
buzz around them. They were like playing at the Whiskey a Go Go, like all these places that like these huge bands that we all know today played at,
Yeah.
and they were like their shows were like like people were talking about it.
Mhm.
So they were, known especially by people that were here. They did a
They were like
show.
your favorite band's favorite band.
Yes, exactly, 100%. They did a show in a warehouse in New York where the band set up in a freight elevator and played a song when it stopped on each floor, which is
That is
awesome.
fun as hell.
I know. I wish I was at that party. That
Oh my
sounds so
gosh.
fun.
That sounds so fun.
I know. I'm
That's like
obsessed.
that's like, site specific theater. That's
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
Without having much to promote themselves with at all besides local LA buzz, they toured a bit and performed in Montreal, Toronto, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. They made their mark, despite the fact that it was never marked into vinyl the way that many would wish that it was.
Yeah.
But they had their reasons. Again, this is Tomata from his final interview.
The reason we didn't make records is because the record companies weren't interested in us at all. At all. I mean, first of all, the Screamers was a highly theatrical thing. How could you put that on a record? What I went out and did, it was a controlled nervous breakdown every night. I was exhausted by the end of every set. It was theater, and much of it was theater of cruelty, not necessarily towards the audience, but much of it towards myself. It was a lot of very, very hard work. I'm really glad I did it. As far as seeing that translated to a record, I don't know. I get emails all the time. Somebody wants to put out a Screamers record. I know there are bootlegs out there. In fact, just at my art show the other night, a kid had me autograph a bunch.
Of bootlegs? You signed those?
Oh, I do it all the time. I'll do it. I mean, I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the people ripping me off. But I can't. A kid comes up to me and, oh, sure. I don't know how many times I've done that.
What a sweetie.
That's
What
so
a sweetie.
sweet. He's just
I
like,
know.
he knows who the bad people are. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't blame the fans.
I don't blame the fans.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when he said nervous breakdown, that was something audiences palpably felt. In other interviews, Tomata said that his frontman persona in the Screamers was
A human illustration of struggle, anxiety, and fear.
And to that point, filmmaker Lucas Reiner said,
When you think of the Screamers, the word that comes to mind is struggle.
and I get that. I feel like I get that watching him. He
Mhm.
does look like all of this feels like if you look up those Target performances or look at the links that we're linking to for
Mhm.
these episodes, but you can feel that, all of that. It really is true. Like, so
Like,
I wouldn't.
yeah, like something is bursting, just clawing its way out of him.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It reminds me of the credit sequence in Severance right now at the
At
end.
the very end?
Yeah, where it's like his head is ripping open.
Yes.
It feels like that.
Oh, yes, it does.
Yep.
That is such a visceral. If you guys haven't seen the show, I mean, watch the show, but I think that the beginning credits are a study in and of itself.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was
love those credits.
yeah, we watched something about like how they were made. It's crazy. They're incredible.
Incredible.
The Screamers' desire to put the album on video and to incorporate video may have simply been something that was so ahead of its time that people weren't ready for it. Artist Mark Vallon recalls,
Of all of my recollections of Tomata and the Screamers, the following are the most vivid. Midway through performances of their song Ava Braun, the band members would walk off the stage. Having eschewed guitars in favor of synthesizers, they let the electrophonic instruments and computerized modules drone on in their absence. As a stark evocation of mindless hero worship, the song was chilling enough. But in the context of the song's lyrics, when the band left the audience to the machines, another narrative emerged. Either technology is liberatory, or it is an adjunct to tyranny. Jesus, this is God. It's too close. It's too close to oh God.
I know.
Okay. During their very last performance, Whiskey A Go-Go 1981, the band used banks of onstage video monitors to great effect, displaying videotaped scenes that startled and mesmerized the audience. Considering that video cameras and VHS cassette players were as yet unknown to most people, or that video rental stores did not yet exist, the Screamers introduced us to the future that evening.
Yeah. So I feel like it was like they incorporated all of this stuff into their live performances, which was, something that people weren't doing yet. And like MTV didn't exist. We talked about all of this. It's like it didn't exist. And so it was just very, very novel to people. But I think as far as like record companies go, and specifically in LA record companies, they were just like, what the hell am I going to do with this? They had no
They're
idea.
like, how am I going to make money off of this?
Oh, yeah. No idea how to do that. So, all right. I'm going to play a little bit of this song that I believe this is just one of their Target video recordings, I think. This is not a live performance, I don't think, but it's hard to tell. So, yeah, this is like, you can see everything he's talking about here, like the video, video, or
All
I'm
the
sorry,
TVs are set up behind them.
Yeah. With the little mustache, and they have the the swastika on here on the screen.
With their little black stash. She's the girl.
It feels very German, doesn't it? Like I feel it feels very German.
Yeah. It's very harsh. And
yes.
And German is it's a very harsh sounding language. I remember watching Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh yeah.
Was that last year for Best Picture or the year before? But I remember watching it and thinking, is this woman guilty or is she just German? I could not tell.
Totally. We talked about that
whole movie.
But still, it seems that there were some opportunities within the band's grasp that they simply did not take for whatever reason. But still looking back, Tomata has no regrets. So what did Devo have to say about you guys?
Oh, they were really nice. In fact, they offered us a tour to play with them in Paris, and for some stupid reason, we turned it down. I couldn't tell you all the stupid things we didn't do, but I do remember one. Robert Fripp of King Crimson asked me to sing on his album, and I had to turn that down. Oh, please. I mean, these are just things. I was not in my right mind, but I was working damn hard, so it's not that I have regrets. People say, well, you should have done a record or something like that, and I don't have regrets about that. Maybe a record will come out. I don't own the music. Tommy Greer wrote the music. It's up to him.
Wait a minute. He wrote the lyrics too?
Nah, I wrote a lot of the lyrics.
That's right. Well, you are at least half songwriter then. The compositions would be Duplenty Gear, not Gear.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him in over 20 years, and I don't foresee seeing him in the next 20 years, so it's not a part of my life anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that relationship, by the way. Like, he's just
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing it. I don't know. We're not talking. So
We're not talking. He can have all the credit, but I'm
sure.
not talking.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the band dissolved in 1981, but some of their songs did go on to be included in a strange art film called Population One, which featured an appearance by the one and only Vampira.
There she is.
There she is. But
Oh,
we'll get to
Missy
that in a minute.
girl.
Give me just a minute. We're gonna
Okay,
get to
okay.
it. After the breakup of the band, the other members took their own direction with their own careers, some with significant success. Drummer KK Barrett, for instance, would go on to be a well-known production designer for music videos. He won MTV Awards for The New Pollution by Beck and Tonight Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins, collaborated on the film Being John Malkovich, and was nominated along with fellow set decorator Gene Sardina for Academy Award for Best Production Design for the film Her.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Anything that has looked super fucking cool. Yeah, all of those things. I'm like, yeah, that
so
was really
cool.
cool. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so distinct, like such distinct points of, such a distinct point of view. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I know. And it's like, and he was like the drummer. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
total switcheroo there.
That's awesome.
But it also makes me think like maybe, there's more, maybe he had more influence than we're hearing. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he had more of a hand, and it sounded like pretty collaborative.
It does sound pretty collaborative. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I think they had a joint mission.
Yeah. He cut his teeth, with, I mean, the band had a point of view from.
It did have a point of view. It's true.
From the songs to the way they dressed and presented themselves to the set deck. Like, yeah, everything had a point of view. Yeah.
Exactly. No, it did. So Paul Rossler left the Screamers to go on to play in Nervous Gender, which was another band, with former Germs drummer Don Bowles, as well as in, I don't know how to say this, Giza X and the Mommy Men. And he was involved in playing with DC Squared, DC3. I don't know.
Is it squared to 2?
You're right. You're right. Oh, that's another thing I don't know. Math. Forgot it. I have anxiety about helping Iris with her math homework. I'm like, oh God.
Oh my God.
I dread the day. I'm just going to.
Well, now the math
drop.
is new. It's like they teach kids a whole new way of learning math. So you're probably
even if it wasn't
to learn math for
even
real
if it
now.
wasn't, I can't do it. I can't do it. It was just, I mean, actually, I was pretty decent at algebra. Everything else, I was like, what is happening?
Same. After algebra 2, I was like, this is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Algebra was like, you can make that make sense. The other stuff, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is this strangeness?
Mm-mm.
Anyway, he was also in Criminy with Mike Watt, while also Criminy? Sure. I don't know, man.
Criminy. Criminy. Also, DC3, when I read that, I was like DC Discovery Zone.
We're going back to our childhoods right now with math.
Sorry. That brought me back.
With Discovery Zone, with the rainbow slide of it all.
All right, so DC3, Criminy with Mike Watt.
And then while also working as a session man with the Dead Kennedys and Saccharin Trust, amongst others. So he was like what's the word? A journeyman. I feel like a band journeyman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a ton of, I think Tommy Gear was similar with being in bands and stuff, but I don't have as much info on him for some reason. So if anybody does, fill that in.
Let us know. Yeah. Fill us in.
Yeah. But Tomata definitely went in a different direction, as was his nature, but he kept it out of the mainstream, which was also
his nature.
His nature, yes.
I feel like, he is true to himself. God, I love this man.
I know. Around 1983, Tomata DePlenty broke his leg and was unable to jump around like a madman for a time.
I feel you. I feel you.
Oh, yeah. Marissa's had some injuries, some surgeries is what it is.
Surgeries.
He had found...
An injury led me to art, so I get this.
Yes. He had found a little paint kit in an alley, like a children's paint kit.
Oh my God. And in an alley.
Yeah. And because he couldn't express himself through performance anymore, at the time anyway, he instead expressed himself with paint. This is from his interview with Jack Rabbit. Prior to starting being a working artist, did you have to do a lot of art?
No, I broke my leg in that accident in LA and I was really bored. I was at home and I think I listened to all my Merle Haggard records, which made me even more depressed.
I can imagine.
And I found this kid's little paint kit in an alley off Hollywood Boulevard. I lived off Hollywood Boulevard and I just started drawing. First, I drew a picture of my cat, then my boyfriend, then my landlady, just people, you know. Then Bob Forrest of Thelonious Monster said, "You should show this stuff." And he was great. He brought me to the Zero Gallery, which is also on Hollywood Boulevard, and they let me hang all my little $10 watercolors all over the place. And David Lee Roth, of all people, mentioned it on The Tonight Show, and it sort of spiraled.
What year was that?
That was 1983. Which is neat because it was the year I also found out I was HIV positive, which made it even better for me, I think. It was like, maybe there's some reason. There's something going on here.
So he had an injury and a crushing diagnosis, and yet he never lost his energy to create or his positivity. Like, just hearing that,
God.
you know?
Yeah, he just was like, yeah, all this terrible, like I broke my leg, I got the work. And, you know, an HIV positive diagnosis in the 80s was a death sentence, period.
Totally. That's the thing. It was. And so he's just like, maybe there's a reason, maybe there, you know, he's thinking in these ways where it's like everything, I don't know. I just think that he always made the most of whatever direction he was thrown into. And like, he didn't have like agendas, you know? Like, if he did, they were for a project, not for his whole life.
Yeah, like, I just like having so much pain and having to go through stuff. And it's like, well, all I can do with this is make art. I get that. I get it.
Yeah. And also just to find all of your joy in it as well. He's such an artist. He's just such an artist. He's the kind of person who didn't need, it was not about money. It was actually about art the whole time.
No. And of his artwork, he says, I sell my stuff really cheap. I do some big pieces that are expensive, but I always have lots of $20 pieces in the show because I think people should have art. I really do.
I agree. How would you describe your art if it were possible?
I don't know. At first, it was just cartoon stick figures of my friends, but now that I've been doing it for 20 years, it's changing. I don't know. I guess I'm a folk artist. I guess that would be the closest there is to it. I've never taken an art lesson, and I don't intend to because I like where it's going on its own.
So confident. Love it.
Yeah. He just was like, I just want to evolve how it evolves. I don't want any outside influence. I don't want to. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool. Very punk.
Big punk energy.
Yep, big punk energy, even in this art phase. He typically focused on portraits of famous authors, musicians, and fellow artists, but he also created a series called Tipsy with Tallulah that was all just people living or dead that he would love to get smashed with.
I love that. What?
It's so funny. I feel like he has such a good sense of humor, like with everything. Doesn't take anything too seriously, which is great. And you can see that in his artwork too. It's really fun. So whatever he was working on, it was always filled with fun. He also continued performing in the 80s and produced shows during this time as well. That is actually how he got Vampira involved.
There she is.
There she is. Remember when we talked about in the Vampira episode, the last one,
Mm-hmm.
about her doing her performances as Honey Gulper in the 80s?
Yes.
Well, those performances were at a club called the Anti Club in Los Angeles, and the whole show was organized by Tomata DePlenty. He called the show the Weird Live Show, and it seems to me that that name was right on the money.
Yes, yes, it was. Very aptly named.
You guys want to see a weird live show? Yes, I do. I
Yes.
will be there.
The Weird Live Show.
Now, I mentioned before that Tomata was in a film with Vampira. And in all of the research I did on Vampira, I did not find out about this film until I was researching Tomata. And it was called Population 1.
That's right.
And it is a strange, trippy art house movie that stars Duplanty with, as himself. His name, at least, is used as the character name. And he is the lone survivor of a nuclear holocaust. It's basically an arty, collaged, fever dream punk rock musical by Dutch filmmaker René Daalder. And the film is definitely dated, but it did make the rounds in the film circuit and largely got favorable reviews.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. At the time, it was seen as something new, and now it's kind of something that you'd put on in the background at a party where everyone is going to be high. I mean, I'm going to show you some clips, but it's 100% what it is. Yep. In the film, Tomata's appliances follow him around the house as he's like really his friends funny. Are the robots for a moment as he sings, scats poetry and daydreams about his love, I think. I can't really tell what's going on in this movie, honestly. But she's played by Sheila Edwards, who is another musician at the time, who is supposed to be a clubby vampire of sorts. She has a song called Jazz Vampire that is super hilarious and fun, and just so random. There's so many musical styles in this. It's bizarre.
But this wasn't Vampira didn't play the vampire.
No, because Vampire is older at this point, so she did not play the vampire.
So this was kind of his love interest or whatever.
I guess, but he's the only person alive, but. So I think it's
maybe a memory, the memory of his love. Oh, okay,
I don't know what's happening. I actually watched this. I did actually watch it. I was in the bathtub doing nothing else with watching it and just being what the fuck is happening? And so if someone can tell me, great. I didn't. I enjoyed it, but I didn't know what was going on. Plot wasn't really its strong suit. I'll say that. And then the love song that actually connects this vampire character with Tomata is actually a screamers song with a BDSM lean called I Wanna Hurt. It's I wanna hurt, I wanna love. I don't know. It's strange and fun, and it features an accordion performance by Beck. Second mention of Beck.
What the fuck?
But he was actually a child at the time.
What?
He's a child.
The fuck?
He's a child playing an accordion.
Oh my God.
Yep. So that's fun. And I honestly couldn't really piece together, like I said, enough of this plot to comment on it more than that. But as always, Tomata is a performer with a capital P in it. His performance is very fun to watch. So first, let's start with Vampira. Vampira plays his mother, Tomata's mother.
Yes, Vampira is mother.
She is mother. And it's weird. I'm going to show you. It's more of a series of photos almost, more than video. It's an interesting, I'm going to go to the parts where you see Vampira.
Okay. On this clock, I'm caught in the eye of a hurricane. Apple pie and pork chops just beyond my grasp. Pictures of dying soldiers, pinup girls, and G.I. Joes. Where am I? What's going on? My mother is struck by a bolt of lightning. I'm unable to come to her help. My mother never needed help. The house is in flames. She's singing and dancing as she runs out to the front porch where I can clearly see her now. There's a message she signals through the flames. Oh, my baby, my tiny little baby. It's you who holds the promise. A promise so big that your poor mother cannot even understand. All I have done is sow the seeds. so that you could fulfill all your
The
needs.
fuck is
The
this?
needs of a
I love how narrated it is because it's actually fits the purposes of this show so well. It's so weird.
That was so weird. Okay, so Vampire was just like in like Sheila's like Little House on the Prairie clothes with like a torch. She kind of looks like Lady Liberty, but in prairie clothes.
Yep.
And then was just like walking down the stairs and of this house, and then now she's on the floor dead, I think, with the
because she got struck by lightning is what he said.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we saw her kind of, I don't know. It was a little, again, this is a perfect encapsulation of what I experienced watching the whole movie. But
like, what the fuck is happening? But
yeah.
Like, this is exactly what you put on in the back of a party where everyone is high.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find what I just mentioned too with the appliances. Okay, I think it's right here. There's like a hairdryer that's like hovering near him. Other 80s appliances. A saxophone floating.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They're like closing in on him.
Naked or just shirtless?
He's supposed to be coming out of the bath. And now he's kind of like marching with them all in a row.
Hard work on the graveyard ship. Hard work to keep a smiling face. Hard work to go on with life. Hard work to preserve the human race.
It's a lot of like him like scat reading poetry or something. Oh wait, this is Jazz Vampire. We have to watch this. This is absurd. Okay. Like this, I just, oh God, it's absurd.
Shake a foot, shake a foot.
It's like a very pale vampire-looking woman with her arms across her chest.
Dad.
She has her eyes closed the whole time.
Specialty. 'Cause I'm a jazz vampire.
'Cause I'm a jazz vampire. Oh, her eyes are finally open.
Wise men keep out of my way. No, I'll lead them astray. They fall the minute I swing.
This is amazing.
You can't treat me. A jazz
vampire.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So you get it. So you get it. And then
we got up on her
teeth,
which are snaggletooth,
a little bit snaggly. Yeah, I want to find. This Beck performance because that's the other thing I feel like you have to say.
Yes, the little boy on the accordion. Find him.
I'm finding it.
We must find him.
We will. We're finding him. Okay, so somewhere in here. Yeah, they're kind of like going around this little circle of all the musicians. I think that's what he said because he's sitting down.
Sometimes I think I found my hero, but it's a queer romance. All that you need is the ticket. Come on, big boy, let's dance.
Hurry up.
Oh my God. And guys, it's not a small child accordion. It's an adult size accordion.
And he's just a child playing it.
And he's just
So-
a child with
so-
a huge accordion.
Beck always had the chops. Now we know.
No, we know.
Now we know. So yeah.
Well,
so
we
now
always
this
knew.
is- we always knew. So this is Planet or Plan Pop. God damn it.
Population
I can't even
one.
remember the Population 1. It is a trip, but it's a lot of tomatoes. It really is. He's the star of this movie. So if you want to see it, if you want to see more of him, in better quality film, this is
available on
the way to do it.
YouTube.
For free. Yep. And I'm going to link to it. I'll make sure you see it.
Free? Hell yeah.
So in 1989, this film, by the way, this came out in 1986. So just to give you context of this timeline here. So he's still
Your
doing
birth
his
year,
thing.
Courtney. Not to put you
It
on
is
blast.
my birth year. Yes, my birth year. My birth year was this film, which, my goodness, the fact that this film happened in my lifetime does make me feel old. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty dated. It's pretty 80s. So in 1989, Tomata left Los Angeles for South Miami Beach. He cites a few reasons why he left.
People are very mad at me for not putting out product. Oh, please. Why do you think I left LA? People were very mad at me that I left the Screamers. People make it very hard on you if you want to do something else, especially if you made a big noise. You made a big noise and then you decide you don't want to do that anymore. Oh, you can't do that. It's like everything should be in its time and place. People get overly sentimental, especially about rock and roll. Oh my God, you hear the violins. I don't know. Punk rock fans, they're the hokiest. He's probably like, I wanted warm weather.
Yeah. The hokiest.
And a good beach. Because let me tell you something. This might be controversial.
Say
LA
it.
beaches, they're not beaches.
What are they? What are they, Marissa?
They're sad excuses for beaches. Because if you ever lived in the Caribbean or Florida, I'm sorry, you can't go swimming. You can't go swimming for pleasure, really, unless it's in August in LA. It's freezing cold.
It's for surfers. It's 100% for surfers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wetsuit or nothing. You're on the beach or in a wetsuit in the water, and no. South Beach, Miami, that is a beach.
So he was gonna get a tan, is why he left.
He went
That's
to go
the
get a
real reason.
tan. He was like, I'm dying. I need
honestly,
to live on an actual beach.
The funny thing is, this was not a real idea in his head. It's so weird, according to him. And I don't know if this is true. This is just what he says, but I trust him, honestly.
Yeah. Why would he make it up?
Yeah. He met a couple of fans who gave him a ticket. They gave him a plane ticket. He took it as a sign and he just completely relocated. So, that's what he did. So he just was like, all right, I'm going to leave. I think he was ready to leave, but he didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
So then he was like,
and then
all right.
a plan presented itself.
A plan presented itself. So once he got there, he hustled and continued his starving artist life with the same happy attitude he always seemed to have, working jobs where he could get them until he found a way to live off of his art.
I was a bartender in Miami for a couple of years and started making a living as an artist the last 3 years. I said, if I don't do it now, if I don't just quit everything, and that's when I decided on the 3 suitcase idea. Whatever I can get into 3 suitcases, I call up anybody, I say, I'm coming. Let me hang them in your place. And it's been working. I'm making a living. I mean, I'm no richer, but I'm sure happy.
Yeah. No, it's cool. He's just like, I'm going to find a way to make a living doing this. And my living is just going to be a small living. Like,
Yeah,
but I'm happy.
so he basically was like, whatever I can fit into 3 suitcases is what I can take with me.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So he traveled around doing art shows, keeping it cheap, and never even having the desire to break into the art gallery. He himself said it just wasn't Tomata.
It really wasn't.
It wasn't Tomata. The wine and the cheese of it all, it wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
He eventually made it to New Orleans, where he had an art studio and continued to dive into portraiture of musicians and performers. And
I love New Orleans. I think it has the best of what America has to offer in terms of food, art, and music all in one city.
yes, 100%. And it's just like the street performers are like top notch.
Yes, the performance art, like everything.
Yeah.
I think it's our best city in terms of art.
Fighting words. I agree, but it's also like cities who have to, I don't know. Cities who band together are always like the ones who have had to go through some crap. Like we're talking like New York and Los Angeles and New Orleans. There's some, we gotta roll with it. So I feel like and the art that comes out of that is often very good.
Mm-hmm.
But so Tomata was there. He was, he was a fixture in the art community and he was like,
that's
always,
right. He was
just always kind of like around. He didn't just like he wasn't one of those people who just expected you to come to his shows. He like went to everything. He was that guy. He was around. He was around all the scenes.
I love that.
Yeah. He was just.
He's surrounded with himself with art always.
Yes, exactly. And artists. So it wasn't just, he didn't live in a bubble. And eventually he got very sick for the first time in his life, despite his longtime HIV diagnosis. So he got AIDS-related cancer. And he headed to San Francisco, where he was offered a place to stay and transportations to doctor's appointments. He was always very good at having excellent friends around him. And so he was able to be taken in, essentially.
Yeah. This is like such the opposite of Vampira.
It is, yeah. I feel like she was kind of, people found her. He was one of the people that found her, actually. But I feel like she did have community, but she also like got reclusive, And he never really did that.
He didn't.
No. And he was always just like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? And that energy was always there. Even in this period, he just was not slowing down. And it was actually during this period of his illness that he did the interview that we keep quoting in this episode, the one with Jack Rabbit. So he did this interview and he would die just 2 months later. I know. So this really is his final interview. And just to know, that he was really still having fun in this interview. You can tell.
Yeah.
So it's to me, that's really beautiful. And I don't know how he was feeling physically, but it probably wasn't great, honestly.
No, he was literally dying during this. And I had no idea until you said something just now.
Yeah. And he was going through chemo and radiation treatments and stuff, which always makes me feel like trash.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Especially back then.
Yeah. Well, this
cancer treatment has come a long way since then.
Yeah, since 2000. Yeah. So, this is another bit, knowing all of that, this is another bit of the interview.
Yeah, I really am not a guy who contemplates much. Like I was telling you, I just got really sick for the first time in my lifetime.
Recently?
Right now. So my life has really changed. So maybe now is the time for me to think about things. But up to this point, I never thought about anything. I just did it. I remember when I was 15, I was at the beach in my baggies and I got in a car and we drove all the way to New York in the winter. I've never thought about things ahead of time.
I like doing a lot of things, being extremely impulsive like that. I don't do it as often as I used to, and I never did anything that extreme.
Well, I guess maybe I'll be 52 at the end of the month. So maybe, I mean, I hope to be back on my skateboard soon. I'm not predicting too major a change here, but
You said in your email that you'd been sick. Is it worth talking about?
oh, well, I've had HIV for a long time and they changed my meds and I got a weird reaction. So I'm working with that. And in New Orleans, I was working with the doctor there, but they seem to know a whole lot more here in San Francisco. This is where it all began. They've got the best care in the world here. So that's my decision, to hang here for a while. I'm very optimistic. I'm not an old jalopy.
So he's kind of downplaying it here. Anyway, obviously he's downplaying it, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I think he was actually as hopeful as he's saying, but also he did, he had cancer. He was getting cancer treatments at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, I just switched my medication. It's like, no, you're going through it.
You're getting chemo, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think he didn't want to go there. And fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So his funeral at Hollywood Forever was attended by Vampira. She outlived him and his many other friends. It was presided over by his good friend Chase Holiday. And fittingly, this was the very cemetery that DuPlenty and Holiday used to hang out in during the Screamers' heyday. And Brad Dunning, another denizen of the Wilton Hilton, who had helped design the cemetery's renovation that began in 1998, he is the friend who made it possible for Tomata to be interred there. So, again,
wow.
Friends in high places.
Mm-hmm.
So Tomata,
friends in all places.
Friends in all places. Friends in every place. It's true. He was just like a not. Yeah, he was, and he didn't even he wasn't starstruck by anybody. Like, it's just like he's just like going in these circles and doing his thing, and there was not a hierarchy of people to him. And you can tell. And I love that. Love that. So Tomata, we hope that you are doing things up there and that you toasted Vampira when she made it your way. Yeah. And I think, I guess what would we leave Tomata as a gift, as a graveyard gift?
Maybe like a silly little watercolor.
A little watercolor kit, like the one that got him started.
No, I want to paint something.
Oh, I love that. I think that's perfect. Like to do something creative in his honor.
Yeah.
I think that would be very appreciated. Yeah, for sure. I love it. And to also do something that's like, maybe you paint with, I don't know, ketchup or something. Do something.
Or like with my non-dominant hand. Or
yeah. Exactly. Go outside the box a little bit with it. Just try something for the sake of it,
Exactly.
Just do something. Whatever it is, just do something. Yeah,
whatever we do, we can't think about it too much. We just got to do it.
That's a good point. Yes, I love this. Oh, that's so fun. I did not think of that, and I'm all about it. Because I think that making it too about music, he just wasn't in that place at the end for his last 20 years of life. He was not. That wasn't what he was doing. So, I think he always had I think he always loves every form of art, but that stage, he doesn't cling to it. That he's and I also really love that. I loved everything he was saying about being he left LA because he felt like people are why aren't you doing this anymore? This is what we know you for. And he's like, I want to do something else. I just want to do something else. And fuck you, this is my life. And I'm like, yeah. We all, it's he didn't give a shit what anybody else thought about
not
him.
not one.
No.
Not one single shit at any time or any point.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think and also just
and also he openly talks about his sexuality, his boyfriend, and his diagnosis. He's vulnerable.
But also never wallowing in any of it at all.
No. Vulnerable in a way of openness.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes. No, exactly. No, I think like this is like an evolved person, I feel like. So I think like it seems like, and by the way, apparently people are working on a documentary about him, which I would love to see once it's done. It's because especially just with the video footage that exists and that like the plans he had for it that were ahead of his time. And it's like, yeah, let's do something with it now, I think, because like it really is amazing to watch these performances. And I hope that you guys do, because it really is like, it's so cool to see what he's doing. And his artwork, by the way, Marissa, we were having technical issues today, but I will send you links if you want. Like you should look,
Yes, I want to see.
but you can even just look up his artwork. It's like it's all very it's like
I want to see what you curated for me, but I also will just Google it.
But I think that like, what you saw kind of on his grave, on his box of ashes, so to speak, like it's kind of like I feel like it's in that vein. It's very outsider art vibes, where because that's really what he was. He's calling himself a folk artist.
I wonder if we can if I can buy some of his art.
You can. It's going up in price for sure, but like you can. I mean, yeah, it's like it. Lucky are those people who were like at the shows where he's like, yeah, take it for $20. You know what I mean? Because it's going up now. But it's fun. They're all like fun, quirky portraits and stuff of people, and sometimes they're done on the back of his old band flyers and like on just like pages from books. And so it's very like, I don't know, it's all very like found looking kind of and very punk looking. Yeah, so it's really fun. But yeah, I will also include links to the artwork. It's really fun. And yeah, but that was Tomata to Plenty. And I feel like I don't know, I was interested in him in the vampire episodes. I definitely didn't know as much about him, but I was interested in him. He sounded interesting. And then now I'm like, wow, like this is like this whole world just got opened up for me. And this is why I love doing this podcast, because I just feel like these stories get lost and it's like they're so good. And the work people did in their life is so cool. And
it's so cool and interesting and innovative, and
yeah.
It shouldn't get lost.
It shouldn't get lost. So that's our project. And you know what? I also just want to say right now, I've been meaning to do this. I want to thank everybody who's been leaving us reviews. It's really nice to hear that you guys are enjoying the show and that you also appreciate these stories and that you're just as excited about them as we are, because that just means a lot to me, because I feel like I got excited about it. And I'm like, I want, and people, it's like, I wonder if anyone else cares, and you guys care, and it's great. So thank you for listening. And also, if you know of anybody that's, feel free always to be like, did you know this person was buried here? And like, because I'll keep Marissa from reading the comments. You can just send them. Know that I'll read them and that she won't. And then, you can also freely talk shit about her because of that. So.
Yeah, I'll never know.
Say whatever you want. Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah. But
I'll take a page out of Tomata's book and not care.
There you go. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. But yeah. So anyway, thank you guys. And the next episode is going to be a really special one, by the way, because we're going to actually do it from Hollywood Forever. So stay tuned for that.
Ooh.
If you liked what you heard, or if you have any feedback for us at all, the good, the bad, the ugly, the dead, the alive, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and let us know what you think. We really want to hear from you. Also follow the show, please. Definitely subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts, but write us a review. Tell us what you're thinking.
Dead and Kind of Famous is written, researched, and produced by Courtney Blomquist. It is co-hosted by Marissa Rivera. We tag team on socials. Jesse Russell and Courtney Blomquist do our editing.
Until next time, you might not be famous, but you got a story to tell and you're not dead yet.
Okay, bye.
Bye.